everyone, and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. Come along with our triumvirate of terror as we descend into darkness, hurtle into horror, and plunge into peril. If you've ever had some real-ass hallucinations, you're in the right place. I'm Justin, and from 1999 to about 2001, I was a massage therapist.
I'm Nico, and my favorite track out of David Maxim Michiks, I actually don't know how to say his last name. Hope it's not the second one.
Michiks?
My favorite track of his is Smile.
Some real ass hallucinations there. Well, I'm Dan, and I'm working on turning my frown upside down.
Wow! Well, noting all that, we are here today to review Smile. This was directed by Parker Finn, starring Sosie Bacon as Rose Cotter, Jesse T. Usher as Trevor, Kyle Gallner as Joel, and Cal Penn as Dr. Morgan Desai. A quick trigger warning for those out there. We do these sometimes when we talk about some sensitive topics on the podcast. This movie deals extensively with suicide, mental health, that kind of stuff. So this is your warning ahead of time. We open with a scene in the past involving a kid and a parent that's in some serious distress. The parent seems like they've overdosed and the kid is super traumatized. More on that later. We then snap forward to Rose, a therapist who's currently treating a patient who, a few days previous, witnessed a professor kill himself. Rose tries to help her, but the young woman keeps talking about a creature that only she can see, something that takes the appearance of others and won't leave her alone. Despite Rose's best efforts, the young woman begins to grow increasingly deranged until she kills herself right in front of Rose. And normally when that happens, it's time for Dan. Dan, what happens next?
Smooth.
Well, this naturally doesn't bode well for Rose's mental health, but she still attempts to go out for dinner that night and keep her life as normal as possible. The problem is, that doesn't really work. Rose begins to see things and hear things that are only apparent to her. It gets to the point where her job gives her a week off to sort herself out. She goes to see her old therapist, who says that this is probably linked to her unresolved trauma regarding her mother's overdose. Rose was the kid in the beginning of the movie, but Rose dismisses that.
I see. Well, speaking of kids at the beginning of the movie, Nico, what happens next?
Yeah, I was a kid once, I guess. Sure. Let's do it that way. So things continue to get worse for Rose, and her relationship with her fiancé, Trevor, deteriorates as a result of all the chaos. Rose goes to her nephew's birthday party, and she's excited to give him a new train set that she bought him. Well, he opens the present, and it turns out that instead, it's Rose's missing cat, Mustache, inside the box. And he's been, stabbed and mangled and killed, and it's not good. It's making me sad thinking about it. At this point, Rose starts to believe that she's being haunted by some kind of ghost or spirit or curse or some kind of ghoul or goblin or maybe even a yurei or just some weird shit. Just bad stuff's happening. And she tells this to her fiancé, who unfortunately just does not believe her even a little bit. Sucks. Rose then does some research and discovers that the professor, the one who killed himself, of the girl who killed herself, also saw someone, wait for it, kill themselves.
And while...
Well, Justin, speaking of...
Kill yourself.
I was going to say, listen, I was going to say they missed an opportunity to name the cat Meowstache.
Oh, yeah, that would have been a
good one, actually. Yeah. That's actually a pretty good one.
Well, speaking of a good one, Joel gets introduced in this paragraph. But this is too much of a coincidence. So Rose hits up her emotionally available, mustache-wielding, not the cat, and salt-of-the-earth cop ex-boyfriend, Joel. Joel definitely wants her back, like baby back ribs and Jimmy's. I remember that commercial. And so at her insistence, he goes through the police records and finds that there's a rather disturbing chain of people killing themselves after seeing other people kill themselves. Total ineptitude from all the police force aside on this one. Rose just flat out leaves at that point when maybe she should have spent a bit more time with Joel.
Real detective ting.
Maybe talking about it. That happens next time. She goes home to find Trevor speaking to her old therapist, and she just feels very betrayed. Like everyone's talking about her, but not to her. So she leaves. And now it's time for big detective ting. So Nico, what's really going on here?
So, as it turns out, Joel Last of Us and his mustache, not the cat, have been doing some digging, and he found a chain of 20 people who follow the pattern of folks who've killed themselves after seeing someone Control-Alt-Delete themselves, with one exception. There is apparently a guy who murdered his neighbor, and he's nearby at a jail instead. So Rose and Joel head over. The prisoner tells Rose that this curse spreads through trauma, and the only way to get it to leave you alone is to kill someone else and make sure to have a witness, so that they get traumatized and the curse / monster / ooga booga du jour will go after them instead.
All right. Well, naturally, we turn to the person we always turn to when faced with any conundrum. Dan, how's this end?
Well, naturally, Rose parts ways with Joel and decides to handle things herself. And by that, I mean she goes back to her old childhood home to confront her trauma and also to be alone so that if she does die, she doesn't give the monster another victim to jump to. The creature confronts Rose, but she lets go of her trauma and smashes the monster with a lantern, setting it on fire. It seems like Rose has broken free, but nope. It was all a hallucination, as Rose is still at her old house.
She was awake.
And now Joel and his loving mustache, not the cat, have appeared to help her. Rose goes back into the house and locks the door so that Joel can't get in. But the creature... but Joel from The Last of Us can't get in. Wait. No. Y'all done fucked me up.
Nico, why'd you fuck him up like that? SMH.
Rose goes back into the house and locks the door so that Joel can't get in, but the creature shoos Rose.
Shows, you motherfucker.
He's got black Air Forces.
All right. Fifth time's a charm.
Keeping all of this.
Rose goes back into the house and locks the door so that Joel can't get in, but the creature shows Rose its gruesome true form. This inflicts some sort of psychological damage on Rose, and it enters her body, possessing her. The movie ends with Joel, not from The Last of Us, bursting into the house and witnessing Rose set herself
blows
aflame. The end.
Well, I guess every rose has a thorn, huh? But we'll talk about it. Let's start from the top, shall we? Looks. How do you guys think this movie looks?
I gotta say, there's not IMO too much to say because this looks really nice. The only thing that I can think of that's really worth mentioning, just given that the setting of this film is nothing out of the ordinary, it's just, the world. You're not going into space or nothing. But I really liked what I couldn't tell if it was practical effects with the makeup for Smile Beast or not, but it looked really nice. I was a big fan of how it looked.
All right. Dan, what are your thoughts?
I like the visuals. There was a couple cool transition scenes where you would see like a car driving and everything was upside down. It wasn't only just upside down, but it was also upside down and crooked sometimes too, which also helped to lead to that off-putting sense, I guess.
Feeling of disjunction almost, yeah.
Right. But overall, I like the visuals.
I was definitely going to add to that and say that for me, I agree with everything you've both said. And I also think that to add to that feeling of kind of like disorientation, there were a ton of shots that were shot from a more aerial viewpoint at times. So I definitely think that plays into it. And just on the other note, like aside from being haunted by the Smile Beast or whatever else, Rose's house is pretty dope. Like I was a fan of the kitchen. That was a really nice kitchen.
For fucking real though.
Like shout outs to the set. But I want to ask now about the sound. So naturally, Dan, I'm going to ask you how this sounded and you're going to answer. So Dan, how does this sound?
My answer about how it sounded was that it sounded pretty good, actually. I really enjoyed the music. I thought they did a lot of really interesting musical cues and things. A lot of things that weren't necessarily standard. There was a lot of, I guess I can't say, not chanting, but sort of like percussive kind of stuff going on. A lot that was just very unique. And I haven't really heard too many of that in in too many horror movies. I think there's been a couple we've talked about like that, but few and far between.
I agree. And I think for more chanting, I think on this podcast, we need to watch The Serpent and the Rainbow. But
oh shit, that is a cursed ass movie, bro.
that's a bonus episode. Justin and Dan talk about the time they watched The Serpent and the Rainbow. But anyhow, I agree with you, Dan. I like the way it sounds. And one thing that I noticed as well is sometimes in certain parts, there weren't a ton of distracting noises or outside noises. Sometimes it kind of was super hyper focused. In particular, there was one scene where Rose is listening on her laptop for like a little like blip. And so she's like turning up her volume because she's trying to listen to a recording and figure out what some sound wave is. She should have sent it to Dan. Dan could have done that for her, but she chooses to do it herself. And what happens is a big ass jump scare, which is what happens if you try and mix your own tracks yourself and don't give it to,
That's right.
an audio engineer. So it happens. But Nico, what are your thoughts on the sound?
I really liked it this time. This is the second time I've seen the movie. The first time was wildly at work. You will recall that I teach. And it was testing season. We were all done. Just whatever. Don't fucking at me. But anyway.
Oh,
you added yourself.
You pulled a Miss Ramirez and played a wildly inappropriate movie.
Look, it's fine. It's fine. We're all fine. Anyway, I really liked the way that this sounded. I think a lot of the sort of drone hits and synthesizer sounds that they used were just really creative. And at times, it kind of reminded me of another film that we saw here, fucking Bird Box. It reminded me of the way the audio was in that movie, that classic movie,
Bird Box. Also classic song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So I want you to close your eyes and give me your thoughts on the monster / power of the monster that we've got going on here. So this thing spreads through trauma. Apparently, I can't believe it's actually this successful at spreading because it's a pretty specific set of circumstances that has to happen.
Sucks.
Well, right. But I mean, like someone has to witness this shit. I don't know. I want to know your thoughts though, Nico.
I mean, I think it's a really creative way to transfer between different sort of curse-ease. There's got to be a name for that. People who are haunted.
Afflicted?
The afflicted, yeah. Let's go with that. The afflicted.
The cursed ones.
The cursed ones.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Dan got full on, like, dark. Oh.
That's, I'll take metalcore band names that surprisingly don't exist for 2000, Alex. Anyway, I forgot what you would ask me. What?
The monster.
What
it do?
Yeah, no, I like the ability of how it transfers between people, and I think that it makes for a lot of creative situations that have a lot of sort of natural slow build. One of the things that I liked about this movie was how it, in the scenes where shit was fucked up and Rose was going through a hallucination, it doesn't immediately appear that that's what's happening. It's not something like she's seeing, I don't know, the green giant and pink elephants and shit. Like, it's not the hallucination like you would expect it to be in a horror movie, I think. And I think this sort of subtle transition between what is reality and not was well done in that regard. So I think to sum all of that up, it seems as if the Smile Demon's powers are perhaps subtle and just very personal to whoever's haunting them. I'm not sure.
I got a question. Does this monster remind you guys at all of The Ring? Just in terms of everything that's going on? Because think about it. Like, Samara from The Ring, she makes you hallucinate. You see a bunch of shit that's not there. Kind of starts to lose your mind. And then you die in like a week.
Yeah, I didn't think about it, but
Joel and his mustache literally said everyone dies in a week.
Damn, I guess this really is The Last of Us.
yeah.
It's also apparently The Ring.
Damn.
So I didn't think about that until I sat down and thought about it.
Wow. Wow, you hadn't thought about
Wow.
it? You thought about it?
Real big man things over
sometimes I like subconsciously think about things. When you reach my level, when you reach the big brain, that's when you can start really branching out. But more on that later. More on that later.
Call you Big Brain from now on.
So I thought that the monster was cool. I liked it. The method of transmission is interesting, but apparently the chain can be broken, kind of. And I have a question about something, but I'm going to save my question for the end. And instead, I'm going to ask Dan, what's your thoughts on the monster?
I thought it was interesting. It was kind of cool. At first, I was a little iffy on it because I was like, well, why don't people just like kill themselves not around other people?
That's what I was literally going to say.
But then they did mention it a couple times and they showed it at the end, like before you die, the creature possesses you, the thing possesses you. So like when you watch the security footage of that one guy who like kills himself in front of the lady at the gas station or whatever, like I'm sure he was possessed and like he probably wouldn't just do that. So I think the creature possesses you. I keep saying creature, but the whatever it is possesses you and then puts you in a situation or like actively seeks out people to kill yourself in front of. That makes a little more sense to me now.
More like a puppet master type thing?
I guess, yeah.
Interesting.
Or, so I was reading this online, that the creature possesses you when it's fully broken you down. So like at the beginning, you probably still could do it and it wouldn't be able to just like stop you and take control of you. Like it has to like traumatize you, I guess. And that's how it gets the true power or whatever. Now,
that makes sense.
Everyone put on your glasses. I see we all brought them today because it's time to talk about the themes and kind of just what themes are explored in this movie. Do you guys think?
Trauma edition.
Yeah, I knew this was going to be, I sat down to watch this movie and within the first 30 minutes, I was like, God fucking damn it, Nico. I knew you were going to bring up some shit like this.
Yeah, Nico, why'd you bring this movie up?
Hey, look, I wasn't the one who suggested this.
Even if Nico didn't suggest it, Nico suggested it because you see, and I almost said class, but dear listeners, Nico stays bringing these traumatic ass movies where trauma is everything that goes on in the movie. And in this, we've gone full circle. It's an actual trauma monster now.
Yeah, sure is.
We went from trauma being the monster to now the monster is trauma. Monsterfied.
Wait, what's the difference between trauma being the monster and the monster?
Something Frankenstein.
Babadook versus this.
Kaiju event of the century.
So
just imagine a big ass Babadook and a big ass, I don't know, stretched out fucking Pete Davidson or whatever the fuck we got here.
And then
tell me I'm wrong.
I'm not going to.
I can't.
And the Babadook like pops out of like a children's book or something, and then I guess to traumatize it, the creature's like, you ugly. And it's just like, because the creature can talk. I forgot to say that the creature talks.
Your raincoat's stupid and your hat's whack. You got no game and you something. You're white and black, I don't know.
And yeah, just like, I don't know. But Dan, maybe you do know.
Logic enters the chat.
Well, no.
Goddamn! Rubik's Cube noises.
Are the themes in your genes like denim? If not, answer my question.
They are.
Are you going to spit some words like venom?
Yep. I think another theme is guilt.
Yeah. Yes.
Because she definitely has guilt for when her mother overdosed. She walked in and her mother was still alive and she was like, help me, call somebody. And she didn't. And she closed the door and
Nah, see, y'all laughing now. But I also laughed when I saw it.
Oh, I did.
Because
you laughed when you saw it?
Bro, I was
mad lad.
That's fucked up, bro.
No, that's fucked up. It's fucked up, right? But at the same time, I was like, yo, treatment. Like, that's just what appeared in my mind.
Damn.
But she confronts her guilt at the end and she's like, oh, I can't stay guilty about this for my whole life. And then she gets fucked up. So I think that may be like a message for like, no matter how hard you try.
You can never get over your guilt.
That too.
And that's one thing that I had an issue with. And I'll say it now because you brought up the point that if the theme of the movie is trauma, was major theme, guilt, that kind of stuff, and you got to let it go, right? You have to work towards acceptance and towards letting things go. And the movie had a perfectly good ending, but then chose to like, nah, let's do it again.
What do you mean?
And like kind of undid the ramifications of her, because the movie was like, cool. She's there, she's in the house and the creature has her pinned down and tells her she can't escape. And then there's a scene where she faces her mother and, she admits it. I didn't help you because I was scared because you were abusive. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't my fault because I was just a child. Mm-hmm. And she's like released from that now, right? And the demon like holds her down and is like, it's your mind, you can't escape it. And she's like, yeah, it's my mind, you can't escape it either. And then she like hits him with the lantern and burns down the house. And this is all very symbolic of attaining your strength. I almost dead ass thought her persona was gonna show up there because like
for real.
that's how much of that felt like. But then all of a sudden, no, the monster's like, I'll never leave you alone. And I'm like, so what message are you really trying to send here? Because I feel like you had a very good message.
Is she's so incredibly fucked.
I mean, keep in
That's the
mind, this is
message.
and this is a horror movie. It's not like a feel good,
I know.
you know?
I know.
Doesn't
I
have
understand
to
that.
have a happy ending.
Yeah.
I understand that. I just thought we could have gone the operative route of her giving it to someone else or something. Or maybe she's not
did give
traumatized
it.
Here's
anymore,
my
so it goes
problem
to
with the
someone-
movie. I think she should have, and I think the director and the writer are cowards for not doing it. I think that the fucking curse should have followed that kid at the birthday party. Straight up. He got horribly traumatized.
Why?
And they even say specifically in the script, like, he was fucking traumatized. And whenever they say how the movie transfers, they always say, you have to go to someone who is traumatized. You have to traumatize someone. There has to be a witness. You have to kill someone or something, I guess, R.I.P. Meow Stash, you a fucking real one, homie. But, like, I straight up think it should have gone to the kid, and the rest of the movie should have been about her guilt in how she transferred it and trying to help him out of the situation. I think that would have been a much better movie, IMO.
See, this is the thing. See, but this is the thing, though. I don't necessarily disagree with what you've said, but they specifically say that it's you have to see someone die, or that like that's what does it. Now, I think it would be cool.
I don't know
to
if it's got to
explore-
be necessarily that exact.
Well, that's what they said, and I agree with you. Right? I feel like that could be, hey, you just really have to traumatize someone, and like death is normally what would traumatize you to that extent, but there could be other things to do it.
They mentioned
right?
traumatizing someone like the most out of all of the things, though, like even more than just like killing. Like specifically, it is the trauma that's going through, and like that's the whole fucking theme of the movie. So.
I mean, I agree with you, but I also disagree with you because they talk madness about people killing themselves time and time again.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Speaking of madness, calling in the big madness, big D over here, Dan.
No.
I'm sorry, I'm reading his name. So tell
What?
me this.
Oh no!
Yeah, audience, you
God
can't see it,
damn
but
it.
we name ourselves in our little podcast recording app.
I don't know who named me Big Dan. Big
It
D.
was Dan. But Dan, what's your
I don't know who put that there.
interjection and what's your thought on what we've been discussing thus far?
I agree with, well, I guess Justin, that I assumed that it was about you have to kill somebody in front of somebody else. But I also agree, like Justin, who agrees with Nico, that it
true.
may have been a better movie if it had done what Nico had described.
Right. And now I kind of want to talk a little bit about Rose, right? Rose makes some decisions that aren't really too smart in this movie. I don't know if anyone wants to talk about any of those. But one thing that I also kind of thought was interesting, I don't think that Rose is treated fairly by the people around her. Namely the fact that when she talks about ghosts, right? Like she even mentions like, hey, like she doesn't use the word ghost.
Mm-hmm.
But they say, oh, it could be like a curse or something. And her fiance, who, by the way, is really good as A-Train in The Boys, just putting it out there. But
Oh shit!
her fiance, yeah,
Damn.
yeah. And he's like, nah, don't talk to me about that. That's bullshit. It's no ghosts.
Man's not haunted.
And they say like multiple times, I never said ghosts. And I was like, nah, you see, I want to give a quick story time. But before that, do you guys think she's treated fairly by the people around her when she brings up ghosts, spirit, curse, and everyone immediately dismisses her?
Not really. I mean, I feel like it is difficult to believe, but if I were in that situation and somebody that I cared about said that, I would probably be like half and half, where I'd be like, all right, and I would be worried for them and like think about like maybe you should go see a therapist or whatever, and like the quote unquote like real things.
Yeah.
But also part of me would be like, nah, I believe in spirits and ghosts and shit. So like I would also be trying to look out for
Yeah.
that kind of shit too. And like I would believe them, you know? So I would kind of do like both.
All right, Nico.
Yeah, low-key, I don't blame him when he says, I want to know about what kind of shit I'm getting into vis-a-vis your fiance being dead-ass haunted. So I understand the hesitancy there, and I think it's more than fair that he was put off by that. I truly, honest to God, don't know how I would respond. I mean, I'm gonna be supportive however I can, but yo, if someone tells me with like facts and evidence and references of specific bad shit that has happened that implies they are haunted, it's not looking great, Chief.
I'm gonna say this directly. This wasn't like Rose being like, oh, this is just me being crazy, although the thing was making her crazy.
She's definitely not, and she's not portrayed as crazy, which I think is very important.
Yo, straight up, she has 20 related cases.
But she didn't show a single person except for Joel.
And that's why I thought she
where
was
fucked up.
stupid.
Yep.
I would have been like Trevor, which was, I believe that's her fiance's name, right?
I
Trevor?
think so, yeah.
Yeah. And she goes, hey, look, I know I sound crazy, but there have been 20 other cases like this where somebody saw someone die and then they died next. And I'm scared because I think it's going to be me because it just happened.
Hey, yo, Jess, I don't know if you can speak on this, but what would you do if you got a case like this?
I'm going to keep it real. And this is my other problem with the movie. I got to send you to the appropriate Pokemon master, a.k.a. the appropriate religious holy man.
Oh, right.
Or woman, maybe, of your choice. Because that's what we discussed it on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Like, how did she not go to a church once? Not once. No church, no temple, no mosque, no nothing.
Yo, facts, though.
Shaman, medicine man, none of that. No one. Didn't even ask Jeeves. I would have been like, yo.
Oh, my favorite religion, Jeevism.
Shout outs to a real one.
I would have just been like, yo, maybe I should go to a church. Just maybe. I don't know. We never tried the exorcism route, did we? So, yeah. That would have been first and foremost. But time for my story. So something like this did actually happen in my real life.
Jesus Christ.
And I was dating someone who, she called me one day and she was acting like a little erratic. I didn't think anything of it. And then she called me and she said, I'm afraid to sleep in my house. And I asked what happened. And she normally didn't live alone, but the person she was living with
Is this Bobby?
was in another country. And she was like, whenever I like walk by my piano or whenever I play my piano, I see a ghost. And I was like, we should stop playing piano. But then like,
Yo, straight up. Like, pick up guitar.
but she said like, when I sleep, I see them watching me and shit like that. And I was like, you know what? Say less. I went over there. We got all her stuff. And she moved in with me for the time.
Yo, for real though, I would have like started doing tests. Like I would have brought over like a MIDI keyboard, like a synthesizer, be like, do you see her when I do this? I would have brought over like different instruments and being like, trying to get some fucking significant figures out of this.
Now listen, I'm gonna keep it real. Like listen, I believe in that stuff, so I'm about to fuck around. Like if I've known you for a length of time and then you're like, hey man, like I'm not crazy. This is what it is. I'm gonna be like, okay, that's what it is. Like, I'm going to be like, all right, like I'll back you on this one. And it worked. It worked. So nothing else I can really say about that. But,
Damn.
I just listen. And you know what? For you too. If Nico was like, yo, Just, it's a ghost haunting me, bro. I'm going to be like, we're going to prepare a ritual or something like that, bro. But can't be that way. So now though, there is something I want to kind of talk about. This was a short, wasn't it, guys? There was a horror short. That was kind of the concept for this, wasn't it?
It was a short and now it's a long.
Yeah. So without, let's not give too many spoilers away for the short because it's only 11 minutes long. People can easily watch it. And we do recommend people watch it. But just how did it relate to the movie? Was the concept similar?
No.
Oh, shit.
And I'm big mad about it.
Oh, okay.
So, well, not really big mad, but I can see a little bit of inspiration, like a tiny bit, but really one of the very few things, maybe the only thing that is consistent between them is the smile. And there's only two characters in the short, Laura, who's the main girl, and then a therapist. And the therapist smiles once, and that's it. And it's not even like that big of a deal, in my opinion. But like the creature is different. There's no such thing as trauma. There's no nothing. And I can see this being like the short almost being like a sketch on a napkin and then the movie being like a fucking movie. Like maybe a tiny kernel of something there, but like they worked a lot. They expanded it a lot to make the movie.
All right, Nico. So
I liked it.
well,
Damn.
he didn't say he didn't like
I
it.
didn't say I didn't like it. I just said it doesn't really relate. There's nothing about sleep in the
I
actual
mean,
movie, you know?
yeah, but like I could see this as more of like almost a proof of concept type thing, and then this is what he gets when he's got some like big boy money.
But what concept?
Like I still think it's a coherent sort of like translation of the whatever was in Laura hasn't slept to Smile. I think that it is like they added stuff on instead of making something entirely new. IMO.
What's the same?
The whole atmosphere, I think the relationship between the therapist and Laura, like the fact that there is such a sort of more clinical nature there that as a framework for this short, it's a similar thing with Smile because our main character is a doctor and one of the people that she interacts with is her therapist. It has similar sort of, I can't say slow tension because it's only 11 minutes, but just like vibes, man.
I got vibes of a therapist. I feel you, bro. So
I mean, hey.
I got you. And now, and in case listeners, if you're wondering why I haven't said anything, because I ain't fucking watch it, so I can't say shit. But what I can say though is it's time for What Would You Do? And it's been a minute. And to, not really anyone's grand surprise, this one's actually pretty simple. I'm putting you in Laura's shoes, right? So you just witnessed some tragic.
Who?
Or Laura's shoes.
Damn it, Rose's shoes. Y'all got me fucked up.
So there is a Laura in the movie too.
Yeah, but definitely not Laura.
Okay.
So you're in Rose's shoes. You just, have witnessed someone hit a sideways S on their throat.
Subscribe to God's mailing list, if you will.
I got to know what's really good. What would you do differently as Rose just, throughout the movie? What would you do differently?
I would have told my fiance. Because all she says is, "Oh, my patient died." Nah, dog. The patient didn't just die. Like, she cut her throat open in front of you.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. Like, she didn't say anything about that to anybody except for maybe Joel. But, like, come on. So, like, when people are like, no, you're overreacting or acting crazy or whatever, like, I mean, as we discussed, I don't know that they had the right response, but she definitely didn't, like, explain the situation. So I would have actually, like, said something.
Okay. Nico, we're going to steer this boat into your waters here. What do you think?
So I think that scene was an example of fight, flight, freeze. And in that case, she froze. I would have just like run and just like, I don't know, fucking tackled her.
Wait.
If I was fucking Rose and my patient was like standing there for a good 2 minutes, just like chilling with a piece of broken porcelain or whatever the fuck, I would have like fucking tackle her, get it out of her hand, do something else other than just like, well, I guess my ass is about to see someone die, huh? And I realize that's an easy thing to say, but like, I don't know, man.
I'm gonna just box this chick.
Yo, I'm just gonna like box
Just
that.
fuck her up.
No.
No,
God,
you can't fuck
Christ,
yourself
no.
up. But you can get these hands. But no, so
Don't kill yourself. I'll do it for you.
Okay, now I see why this sounds bad. Yeah, no,
so
damn. I'm gonna give myself a yellow card for this one, lads.
So that's okay. I allow it. But moving past that though, let's say you do happen to witness it and you are cursed, right? How you gonna deal with it?
Honestly, I feel like I would take one for the team and just like track down Elon Musk.
Wow. Well, I guess that's a way to use it. Weaponize it. Fuck it, huh?
Yeah.
But for me personally, I think Rose's initial step of trying to figure out what was really going on was the correct moves. But when she started to uncover that there's like a million cases out there, I wouldn't have just walked out the door. I'd be like, bro, let's see how many cases there are. Like, let's do some detective work here. And first off, how'd you guys miss this? Because this is the same department dealing with these suicides. So how did whatever department that was dealing with these suicides not realize that the people giving them witness statements were dead within a week? A couple times.
Yeah.
Like, that should set off massive warning bells.
See, I feel you because you're smart, but cops are dumb.
Then I don't give a fuck. That triggers off something somewhere for someone is like, nah, bro, this shit ain't right. But moving past that, I feel like at the end of it all, the biggest difference I would have made is while I was still in control of myself, I'd have just killed myself. Like someplace where no one saw me and broke the chain. Because I'm not saying the monster can't come back on like a next traumatized person, but I'm not going to help.
You're going to 1v1 yourself and win.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Fight, flight, or freeze. I'm going to fight. wouldn't fight myself. Also, the monster, when the monster comes up, I would have tried boxing it. You know what I mean? Like, I would have give it like one cuff. Like, well, I mean, think about it. When she does it, it works.
Does it work though? She sets it on fire and it doesn't
Yeah.
work. So
She does straight up immolate this fucking thing, yeah.
I'm gonna say she never hit it with like a Hadouken. She never did like an uppercut.
that's true.
I'm
She
saying,
hit
like-
it with a oil can and then lit it on fire.
I'm just saying there was routes here.
And that's another thing too. When fucking Rose was at the end, just standing there with the fucking oil can above his head, and Joel Last of Us sees her just standing there smiling for a
flight,
fucking
or
second.
freeze.
Like, you couldn't have done
You would've
anything
fought her.
different in that situation,
her up.
bro.
He should have fought her. I
Yeah.
agreed. He should have tackled her through the wall and hit her with like,
Like,
the ground and
fucking
pound or something.
restrain her or something.
No,
I mean,
fight. It's not restrain, it's fight.
Not protect.
I agree with you, Nico. You had the right idea from the start.
God damn it.
But now I want to go ahead and we're going to change here. And it's time for the critic review. Nico, you think you can brush off the rust and completely get this one right once again? Let's see.
We're gonna fucking find out. I feel like this did. I know it did well in the box office, but I feel like people more or less liked it. I'm not.
So before you say anything else,
Okay.
I do want to let our audience know, for those who are joining in or just people who forgot, because we forget some shit too.
Boy, fucking howdy.
This is based on Rotten Tomatoes, right? Rotten Tomatoes. So, what do you think critics gave this movie on Rotten Tomatoes?
See, I don't know. Just like the ceremony of it all's got me fucked up now. I'm gonna say 79.
Dan?
I was going to say 72.
Well, I still, after all these months, fucking hate Nico because
Are you serious?
the critics gave this one a 79.
Are you, get
Wow.
the fuck out of here. Are you kidding?
No, you get the fuck out of here. The audience score was right behind it
I'm
at
the problem.
77.
Okay.
Yes, you are. And
yeah,
for that,
actually.
No, the fucking problem is the ice cream truck in Dan's neighborhood or whatever.
oh,
the
I thought it was
fuck.
yours. Well, and you know what, Nico? If you mark this down, if you get 2 more right, I'm gonna show up at your house. So just keep this.
Do it. You
Keep
won't.
that in mind. So, that aside now, I want to know your thoughts. If you have anything you haven't gotten off your chest, now's the time. But hit me with your score for the movie.
So I think that this is a movie that if you don't think about it too much, you're going to be happier. I think that there is a lot of style and less substance, but I did have a good time on the whole. I'm going to give this a 74.
Okay. Dan.
I enjoyed it overall. I didn't think it was a super strong movie, but I liked the visuals and the music, as we talked about. I'm going to give it a 70.
Okay. I kind of put this one in there with all the other kind of trauma horrors, particularly the Babadook, but even the one,
Drawers.
yeah, where the kid could like generate butterflies. Forget what that one's called. But
Oh, yeah.
Fuck, I
So what-
forget too.
Yeah, I remember that one, yeah.
Yeah, that movie was low-key dumb.
While They Sleep? Or no?
I don't know.
I don't know, whatever.
I don't know what it's called.
Before I Wake?
That sounds
That one.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But regardless, I have to say this is probably my favorite of the trauma horror movies, just because, I don't know, like there's an actual monster in this one. So I like that. There were a couple of jump scares. They didn't overdo it with the jump scares, but there was like one really good one and one that was good. So I liked it. I thought the acting was solid, in particular Rose. I thought
Rose was
pretty
great.
good.
Yeah.
And so I don't have a problem with it. I just feel like the plot, the writing of it could have been a little bit, I don't say smarter to call people dumb, but I say smarter because I think they could have woven the trauma a little bit better in this one. The whole scene with the mom and stuff like that was kind of inconsequential at the end of the day. So I thought that could have been done slightly better. So I'm going to set that one at a 72. Respectable, but, not ideal.
There's your fucking bell curve, folks.
I think it's time to, put everything on the table here. Are we going to recommend this movie? Would you recommend this movie to a general horror goer?
Yeah, I think it's fun.
Yeah, I would.
Agreed. I would as well. Is this going to get the golden seal?
Definitely not.
Arf,
No.
arf.
Nah.
Nah, not from me either. So there you have it. It's a decent flick. If it sounds like it's your thing, check it out. If it doesn't, then don't. But not that you would anyways, right? So
Once again, great advertising from your boy Just. Hey, if you like it, then do it. If you don't, then forget about it.
Boy, big brain.
I don't know, maybe go for a walk or something. Get you some gabagool.
there's no more gabagool. But that's been it from us here. We're clearly fucking around at this point. So if you like what you've heard, give us a
Then
follow. We're on
gabagool,
Twitter.
baby.
We're on Twitter and Instagram at DOTD Horror. We're also on Facebook under Don't Open That Door. Plus, you can check everything we've done on our website. That is, of course,
All of our crimes before God.
.com. That ended way too good. But yeah, until then, take care of one another. I guess, like, when you smile, don't smile too hard, because otherwise this might happen. And as always, dear listener, don't open that door. Bye.